Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back for some more Hyrule Warriors. This is part 9, and we are in the land in the sky. This is Skyloft, and I don't know much about it because I haven't played Skyward Sword, and I actually dug out my Wiimotes, and I gotta get a Motion Plus, but after playing these two levels, I really want to get into playing Skyward Sword, and the only thing that kind of has deterred me a little bit is the price of entry, because you got to pay obviously the 60 bucks for the game, and then whatever the cost for either the adapter to use on the Wiimote to give it the Motion Plus, or you got to buy a Motion Plus controller. So I mean, that's kind of what's been my deterrent, but I think that's going to change here fairly soon, because I looked up a couple things on YouTube, and the game looks pretty interesting. I'd like to give it a try and see how it all unfolds, and plus it'd give me a little bit. The characters seem interesting. I'm not real versed in Girahim and Fee and the whole Skyloft mythology there with the land in the sky and everything like that. So I mean, it's something I definitely want to play and try out and see how it happens. And I mean, I know obviously a lot of it has to do with the evolution of the Goddess Sword into the Master Sword and all that, but and the origins of Link, Zelda, and Ganon. But that's about all I know. I'd like to experience the story. And I wonder why they didn't unlock the Goddess Sword for Link in this game. These shielded moblins are kind of annoying, but can be taken care of fairly quickly if you just kind of roll around them. This game, as much as I've been singing its praises throughout the course of these videos, I'm finding that I think one of the reasons it hasn't really got too stale for me is I only play like 1 or 2 missions a day. I don't think this is a game that you could probably sit down and marathon and still be able to enjoy, because I would imagine in that instance it does get repetitive quite quickly. But playing it in these small sittings, I average about 20 minutes a mission, so I'm only playing, about half hour, 40 minutes at a time, because I might do like a legend mode mission, and then an adventure mode, couple adventure mode missions, and then call it a day on it. Or I might play 2 legend mode missions, or I might not play any legend mode. I might just do all adventure mode. But I don't think this is a game like Assassin's Creed or Halo or anything like that, where you could sit there and play it for 4 or 5 hours and not get kind of fatigued with it, because everything basically revolves around the combat. That's all there really is. I mean, there's no platforming or anything like that to break it up. So I think, firmly I believe that that's what keeps it from getting stale, at least in my experience with the game. But I mean, if you have a Wii U and this kind of stuff is up your alley, then that might be a different story. But, different strokes for different folks. And also, I'm curious if you have to feed this feed this dude any pumpkins in Skyward Sword. Or did they just pull this out of left field? I'm not sure and gear him as a antagonist. That's another reason I want to play Skyward Sword, because he's kind of weird in this game. Your army's kind of useless in this game. I don't know if the Dynasty Warrior games are like this, but I'm finding out more as I get deeper into the game that outside of story-related keeps, I'm finding it kind of useless to capture the keeps, because, like, if you go to do something else, it's like whoever you leave behind in the keep, they can't defend it. And the keep ends up falling, and you either can go back and retake it or just let it be. And like at first I'd try to keep as many keeps as I can, but then it was just like, what's the point? I don't know, maybe it's just, maybe I'm not doing something right, I don't know, but it just seems like it's almost not even worth trying to capture unrelated keeps. Now, I do go back in free mode and capture as many keeps as I can to unlock whatever certain ones. If you capture them, you unlock treasure chests, and you can get heart containers or heart container pieces and weapons and things of that nature. But I mean, outside of that, like, it just kind of feels like sort of a waste of time a little bit, almost. It's kind of funny how Moblins went from these big bulldog looking things that chuck spears and shit like that to these whatever they feel like calling moblins in a game now. They are a far cry from the artwork that was in the first two games' instruction manuals. Actually, most of the enemies have kind of taken on quite a different appearance over the years. Even the like the Garayas in the first and second game, they were kind of like these weird little, like, sort of rodent, sort of canine looking rat things that tossed boomerangs. And then in A Link to the Past, they didn't throw boomerangs. They were these goofy guys that their movements kind of matched your movements. They, like, if you walked down, they walked up, and if you went left, they went right, and things like that, and you had to line them up and shoot them with your bow. So I'd kind of like, getting sort of nostalgic because I've been revisiting the series intermittently as I play this game, and I'd really like to see a 3D Zelda with that art style of the first two games. Like, and don't get me wrong, I do like the art styles of these games that have come out since then, but I think it'd be cool, like, if they, I don't know, maybe, like a Link to, or not a Link to the Past, like the Adventure of Link, but from the third-person perspective that these last few games have been in. I don't know, there's something about that creature design in those first couple games that they haven't quite emulated in these newer games, I don't think. Like, I mean, you've had, like, how many games have the Deku Baba's been in, you know? You don't have too many things like... The like-likes appeared in Ocarina of Time, but I mean, you don't have, like, that classic Garaya and Moblin and Octorok styled enemy, you know? Those creatures are in these games, but they're not what we remember coming across in those older NES games. I have discovered too, as you get more of these like elites in an area, the lock-on system's kind of wonky a little bit. It won't quite always lock on to who you want it to. Of course, I guess if my keep bosses go down like the chumps that the enemy keep bosses do, I guess that kind of explains why my keeps get taken so fast after I've taken them. I missed a material there. You know, they don't even have to really, the more I think about it, it's not like they'd have to remake the original, one of the original two Zelda games. They haven't really, well, I guess A Link Between Worlds, but they haven't made a 3D game that followed in that Fallen Hero timeline that The Legend of Zelda and A Link, or The Adventure of Link and A Link to the Past takes place in. So if they made a new Zelda game that took place in that timeline, they could use that art style, and it would make sense, you know. And then, but it wouldn't be. They could have a new story, and it wouldn't be a straight-up remake of any of those original 3 games. Or hell, make a sequel to The Adventure of Link. Yeah. There's a cut here, by the way, because I have a rather embarrassing defeat at the hands of Volja, because he kind of goes Super Saiyan for a second, and I didn't get out of the way quick enough, and he just wrecks you. So I cut that out, not because like I'm ashamed of it or anything, but just kind of going through from the checkpoint to that fight again, it just kind of reiterates what happens previously. You know, I mean, I figured there's no point in showing the same thing twice. But, like, you fight him, he's all normal right here, but then, like I said, once you get him to a certain point, then he just goes ape shit on you, and you gotta flee and go to the fairy fountain. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, you know, they have all these, you know, there's a Link to the Past, and then I think Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons are sequels to Link to the Past. Link Between Worlds is a sequel to Link to the Past. Link's Awakening is a sequel to a Link to the Past. So you got 5 games with that same Link. And I don't, like I said, I think it'd be kind of cool to just have that 3D game that takes place in that same timeline, the Fallen Hero, and, you know, like even a sequel to The Adventure of Link, bring back some of those enemies and places, you know, in that version of Hyrule. Because The Adventure of Link had a pretty expansive Hyrule, and if you, like, take that section of Hyrule and attach it to the section of Hyrule that's in the first game, you would have a huge overworld. And then, I don't know. I just think it would be cool. Or even just make a huge Zelda game that's like a complete remake of Zelda 1 and 2. Put them together, make them happen back to back. Because you had, see, the most dungeons you had in a standalone Zelda game was A Link to the Past, which had 12. If you make, if you put Zelda 1 and 2 together, you have 9 dungeons in Zelda 1 in the first one, because you had the 8 that you had to get the Triforce pieces from, then you had Death Mountain. Zelda 2, you had 6 palaces and a Great Palace, so you had 7. So that's 16 dungeons. That's quite a bit. And if you link Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, you had 19 dungeons. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Zelda 2, I think, is criminally underappreciated. It's got an interesting follow-up to The Legend of Zelda, but I think what turned a lot of people off was the difficulty of the game, because it is a hard game, and it gets difficult really fast. I mean, it doesn't ease you into it at all. The first palace isn't so bad. Horsehead can be sort of a pain, but Death Mountain just ratchets the difficulty up to 11, and it's very early in the game. I think it's, oh, it might be after the second palace. It's been a while since I played Zelda 2, but getting through Death Mountain might be arguably the hardest part of the game. And what adds to the difficulty is you only have the 3 lives, or, you know, you can get the Link dolls for extra lives, but you can only get them, I think, once on the save file. So then, when you get game over, you start all the way back at the North Palace, and then you gotta make your way back to where you need to be, and I think, like I said, that just kind of turned off a lot of people, especially, you know, and going from The Legend of Zelda and then going to The Adventure of Link, it is a jarring change. And then people that never played The Adventure of Link, if they played like the first one and say A Link to the Past or something, and then they're like, oh, let me try this Zelda 2 game, see what it's about. It is quite a jarring and different change. My dog's just rolling around on the rug like an idiot. But I think it's a game that needs a little bit more love. It's almost like now they kind of are so focused on acknowledging Ocarina and building upon what they did with that game as far as timelines go, that they kind of ignore those first games that came out. Delete up. He's an asshole when he turns into a dragon. And that weak point gauge does not stay up nearly long enough after he lands. I found, I might have to hook my Wii up because I'm actually on my second Wii U and I can't transfer my Wii purchases to my Wii U, the stuff that I got on the Virtual Console, because my account's already tied to another Wii U. And it's no longer in my possession, and so I can't move stuff over. So I might bust out my Wii and hook it up and get Majora's Mask off of the e-store. Either that, or if I can find a cartridge in the RAM expansion for a decent price somewhere, I might just buy it for the N64, because I do still have my N64. Quite proud to say. I only got 2 games though. I got Ocarina of Time and Smash Brothers, but I do still have it. I'll have to look around. There's a couple local like old game stores that might have it, but we'll see. At any rate though, we're going to wrap this video up, and then we'll finish up the Skyward Sword section in the next one, and then we'll continue on with the story from there. But until then, like always guys, I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Alright, have a good one.